Maybe you know this old joke. Two Unitarian Universalists are walking together along a path. On the one side of the path is a major university. On the other side of the road is a lake surrounded by forests and mountains. And they're walking along, enjoying the day, and they come to a fork in the path, and one side points to the lake, and it says, "This way to heaven." And the other side points up the hill to the university and says, "This way to discussion about heaven." I've reached that fork at least twice in my ministerial life. Once Mike and I were leading a week of programming up at Camp Unistar in northern Minnesota. We were talking about science and religion. And each day on our way to the presentation, I thought, nobody's going to come. Over here was beautiful Cass Lake, just glistening in the morning sunshine. Heaven. And this way to discussion about heaven. I just thought it was the joke right there. But sure enough, the UUs there came to the morning discussion. And then heaven in the afternoon for sailing or fishing or whatever else they decided to do. The other time I really felt this was yesterday. I was in my office and I had my head down and I was trying to wrestle this sermon into some kind of shape. And I walked out into the glorious afternoon and I thought, heaven, what are you doing talking about it when you can be out here in it? And so I put the sermon down and decided to hang out in green space. So I want to say to you this morning that heaven is out there, right? We're going to talk about worship in here this morning, but if you really want to worship, there it is out there. I won't be offended if you've got your eyes full of green. The purpose of my Churchy Words series has been to reclaim some of the words that belong to other communities of faith, but may not be comfortable for us. It's not just the words, but the concepts of spirituality and prayer, of faith and belief, in God, and worship, and coming in June, grace and salvation. These words are in the common parlance in Iowa in 2026. And I think, shouldn't we be conversant, even fluent, with this language and the ideas they represent? Sometimes I myself feel allergic to these words. I make assumptions about how other people use them, and I feel allergic to them. Some of us have real spiritual wounds from the churches of our upbringings, and we may want to join here and have coffee hour with people and volunteer and do the things, but we really don't want to talk about worship or God or belief. So my goal really is to help us be more fluent with these words. Now, before I start, I was actually asked to include worship in the Churchy Words series. And I want to just hear you sort of say out loud, do you have problems with the word worship? If you've got a problem with the word worship, would you just shout it out? What's your problem? Anybody got a, yeah.
A God conceited enough to need it.
Oh, say it again.
A God
A God conceited
conceited enough to need it.
enough to need it. Just go right there. That's excellent. Yeah. Blind obedience. A worship to blind obedience, right? Yeah.
It sets up a power dynamic where my whole feeling from the church of my youth was to find the divinity within me and be empowered.
Okay, so it sets up a power dynamic. And does that mean then it's hard to find the divinity in you if divinity is always up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of because you're told since it's up there, it's not in here.
If it's up there, it's not in here. Yeah.
Just restrictions, other people
Other people telling us how to worship, right? There's the restriction, you do it this way. This is the way that you do it. Yeah.
I just ignore it.
You just ignore it. If other people are worshiping, that's their business, but we're doing something different. Right.
The word idolatry comes to my mind.
Ah, yes, the word idolatry. Yes, thank you.
I can worship out there, the green, but some unknown, unseen, undescribable thing up there is, I can't see it.
And worship something, the outside, the green, nature,
Yeah.
right? But not kind of an amorphous idea. I refer you back to my God sermon at the 1st of April, and carols maybe at the end of April. Yeah. Folks, let's see, we'll get another one from Amy.
Well, I'm not allowed to attribute this to the person that's seated next to me, but I will say that it was noted that worship sounded awfully close to warship.
Oh, the wisdom of the young ones. Worship sounds awfully close to warship. Excellent, yeah. Did you have one in the back? No, that was just a scratch of the, here. Folks online, if you have any of these that you want to put in the chat, we'd be glad to see those as well. Maybe we'll get those in. I started out, as I always do, wanting to take the word apart, the concept apart, and find out what we mean by it. I know what I learned in seminary, but I don't think that was what everybody learned. So the Hebrew and the Greek words that refer to what we think of as worship, bowing down, being prostrate to, submitting to, those words in both the Hebrew and the Greek have to do with bondage. They have to do with obedience, to do reverence, to bow down, to be prostrate, to crouch, to fall down, to be humble. In the New Testament, the Greek is proskuneo, and it's to pay homage, and the image that goes with it is a dog kissing its master's hand, right? You can see a dog licking your hand. You're the all-knowing, the all-being. Cats don't do that. We worship them. We worship cats. They don't worship us, but that's a different story altogether. The way I learned this was from my teacher, the Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons, who just recently retired from her ministry at All Souls in Kansas City. And she took the Old English word worth scrippa, which meant to shape what is of worth. Worth shaping. And I thought, okay, that I can go with. The bowing down, the submitting, the being in the presence of a deity that needs to be worshiped, the idolatry, the sense that good is all there and not here. That submission didn't ring true to how I understand myself as a human being in the world, and I see good in you and all the human beings in the world. But what do we mean when we come together to shape what is of worth? And so that's the way that I want to talk about worship today. And then, if we're shaping what is of worth, what does it call us to submit to? Are we without any need to submit at all? Where does humility live within us in this tradition that we use? So I think there are lots of things that can be worshiped, right? And that word idolatry comes up. There's lots of kinds of modern idolatry. Worldly pursuits where we give our time and our devotion and our life, money and stuff and wealth. Lord, don't we live in a society that worships money and stuff and wealth? Obsessive pursuit of luxury and consumerist items. That's not to say that you shouldn't have a good car that you can drive and that you can have comfort and we need a phone to operate in the world. I think for me, the balance comes when it's overconsumption versus what we need to live. And that's a spectrum for a lot of people. We can worship technology. We can worship celebrity and fame and images and ideology and politics. If you have unquestioning dedication to a political party, a social cause, if I have unquestioning dedication to my political party, that is idolatrous. We need to always be asking and questioning. We can idolize comfort and leisure and relationships and families and sports teams. It doesn't mean if we idolize something that it's always a negative idolatry. But these are things in our lives and that we submit ourselves to. If we submit ourselves to the needs of our families, that doesn't mean that that's bad, but it does need to be in balance with other things, right? We submit ourselves to the work that we do. Whether we want to or not, we've made an agreement, we've signed a contract, we agree to do the work and they'll give us money for it, right? We hope we love it. We submit all the time. We submit to our traffic laws, right? You submit to what it means to be in community together. You do submit to the traffic laws, don't you? We're all going to submit to the arrow as we leave our parking lot. We submit in lots of ways. It's not to say we worship the traffic laws, but we submit ourselves. So what does it mean when we come here and shape what is of value? We talk a lot about the values that we share: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity, with love at the center. Those are demanding. Those values, to live into equity as a principle of my life, and justice and transformation, to lift those up, to see you transforming and allow you space to do that. Those are demanding principles, and love at the center. What does it call us to and call us to do? How do we submit to that love at the center? I think we do it in lots of ways here. We do it through volunteer work, service on our board, or service to the building or the grounds, to our religious education program, teaching other people, to serving treats and cleaning up. Somebody has to say, I'll take my time and volunteer and do that thing so the community can be together. May not be the way you want to spend your Saturday, weeding in the church parking lot because you need to do that at home. It may not be the way you want to spend your Sunday washing dishes, but you do that. Isaac, you do that. Will, you do that. Yes, thank you. So that we can be together and shape together a community that lifts up these values. I don't know that worship, the way we think about it, is idolatrous or lack of freedom or power dynamic. If worship used in that way is the most effective word for us. I started this thinking, yes, we need to have the word worship. It makes a lot of shorthand. It's easier for a lot of things. I served a congregation that only talked about, they wouldn't go to worship service, they went to assembly. And so, we were thinking about, what do you call the people who assist? Assembly associates? That sounds like they work at IKEA, right? Service associates, that's what you do when you work at a store at the mall, right? You're a service associate, worship associate. You know what it means that you assist. We call our folks facilitators, service facilitators, and you do that. You do that. Facilitate the being together. We submit we shape what is of worth through our generosity of time and talent and treasure. That there is something of worth here that we invest in. We say it is worth it to spend our time on Sunday morning or Tuesday evening or Friday noon or whatever is the time that your group meets, to come and be a part of this thing that is by definition larger than ourselves. By definition, it is a power greater than ourselves. And to be a part of that in a world that is so isolated, so fractured, feels of infinite worth to me to be a part of this. So as you encounter that word, someone else is doing worship, and I want to make up in my mind what they're doing and what they mean by it. It's peace shaping, not war shaping. It's generosity shaping, not scarcity shaping. It is justice shaping, not greed shaping. It is love shaping, not just individual shaping. When we are shaped together in community, we are shaped individually. It ought to work on us, right? We ought to leave changed and encouraged. Even in a world that is broken and hurting, we ought to leave, I hope we leave, changed and encouraged and ready to say, what's my next part in this shaping, either here in this community or out in the world, right? What do we need to shape and to grow? Where is this worship, this shaping, this communal shaping calling us to grow next? I love that story of the simple table blessing. They get together and the food is ready and let's get on with it. I've been in meetings today and I got another phone call tonight, and that notion that we pause and we breathe together. We stop and we say, this is real. The noise in the room and the wiggles in the room and the questions and the faces and the music and the breathing, all of it is real. And all of the rest of it falls away while we come together to build this next thing ever so slowly, ever so tenderly. While we wait for that, while we wait in that precious pregnant moment before we tumble headlong into the meal and the talk of our day and all of that. I love this quote from the Sikh writer and activist Valerie Kaur. She says, love is more than a feeling. Love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving, a choice we have to make over and over and over again. If love is sweet labor, love can be taught, modeled, and practiced. This labor engages all our emotions. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we've reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love, to help us be more human beings, as we heard before. So I ask you, as you go out from this worship service, what do you submit yourself to? To what do you submit yourself? Where is Spirit calling you to grow? And where is Spirit calling you to rest? We'll be done here in a moment. We're going to sing "There Is More Love," this song that comes from the Gullah people of South Carolina, from an experience of slavery and revitalized again during the civil rights movement. It's calling to us to something beyond ourselves. There is more love and more hope and more peace and more joy somewhere. We shape together that somewhere. Blessed be, and amen.